This is Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned for professional wrestling. Coming to you from the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, I am your host, Benjamin Burrows.
I am one voice that stands alone. I am one choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots, give it all I got. All I got is this microphone.
And it is a great and glorious day to be out selling your products and selling your services. For you are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold, until you sell something. Welcome to Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. I'm your host, Benjamin Burrows, coming to you from the fabulous and moldy Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. And we want to apologize for not getting a podcast out to you last week. We had some problems here at the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. Here in Delaware, we've been experiencing a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and a lot of nasty weather. And last weekend, part of the roof actually blew off here at the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. They're saying we may have had a tornado. Nobody can confirm and say that that was true or not true, real or not. But we did have some water damage here at the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. Put us out of commission for about a week. And that's why we couldn't bring you the podcast last week. We appreciate your patience. I tried to communicate that out on all of our social network sites that we were having problems here. But we're back. We're here. We're at the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. Hail, hail. The gang's all here. Dave the Ray is here, our producer. He is sitting under what is part of like a new roof, and I'm still in the ring. We did have some water damage, so again, amongst the sweat and the stench of professional wrestlers, we do have kind of this wet smell here, but we're working through it. The fabulous Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, a historic landmark here in the state of Delaware, just in case you're wondering. Oh, the staff is telling me it's not historic, but it is a landmark. Oh, no, now they're telling me it's not a landmark, it's just a mark. Well, I think it's a historic landmark, the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, where we bring you Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling week after week. And thank you for being patient with us. Thank you for listening to the podcast, Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. And as we start to embark on the holiday season, I'm starting to see Christmas commercials, and I'm starting to see Christmas decorations. I know we haven't even had Thanksgiving yet, and we're already preparing for the big man in red to make his appearance. But as we embark on this holiday season, a great gift to buy for the sales professional in your life is Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling, the book. I've gotten great reviews on the book, and I want to thank everybody who has reviewed the book. I've gotten great feedback. It's my first time ever writing a book, so it's kind of exciting for me. You can purchase the book on Amazon.com. You can purchase the book at BarnesandNobles.com. You can purchase the book on Walmart.com. You can purchase it for your Kindle. You can purchase it for your Nook. You can get a soft copy of the book. And myself, the staff of Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling, we really would appreciate you picking up a copy of the book. The proceeds from the book help fund what we do here to build the Grunt to Groan Nation. It helps pay for the staff of the Grunt to Groan podcast. It helps us keep things up and running, our podcast site, and those types of things. So please support us. Pick up a copy of your book, Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. I also want to let you know that we have Grunt to Groan officially branded merchandise on Amazon.com. You can purchase that. We have the T-shirts with the catchphrase for the Grunt to Groan Nation, and that is, sales professionals are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold. You can pick that up in T-shirt form. We're working on getting long-sleeve tees loaded up. That'll be done hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. You can also pick up the Grunt to Groan book cover hoodie or long sleeve tee. It is a picture of the cover that's on the book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling, a picture that I took at a Rampage Pro Wrestling event up in Dover, Delaware, and was actually digitally modified to my specifications by graphic artist D.O. and the rapper of Bride Dressed in Black. So support us, pick up your hoodie, or pick up a long sleeve tee. And just one other thing, we just released this week for the holidays. On the back cover of the book, there's a great picture of the Skull Crusher with his Skull Crusher mask in a headlock by Santa Claus himself in the middle of a professional wrestling ring. Santa Claus putting the headlock on the Skull Crusher. So we just released that this week in a hoodie form. So if you're looking for one of those ugly sweaters or ugly hoodies to wear to your Christmas party or your holiday party, pick up this particular hoodie. It's on Amazon.com. It's called Putting a Headlock on the Holidays. It is the Skull Crusher and Santa Claus. Also, don't forget, I am available for speaking engagements, inspirational, motivational speaking engagements. All you need to do is hit me up at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. And I want to promote a couple events here, if you don't mind. Just going to take a minute to promote this weekend. We have two local independent wrestling events happening in Dover, Delaware, at the Delaware Agricultural Museum. Out on Route 13 South, you have Rampage Pro Wrestling putting on War Games. That happens this Saturday night. Doors open at 6. Bell time is 7. My man, Big Mike. Big Mike's going to be in the house representing Team Rampage as they battle Project Mayhem, Jay Cortez, and that nasty crew that he hangs out with. I think this is where the Skull Crusher and I are going to be. It is this weekend, this Saturday night at the Delaware Agricultural Museum, Rampage Pro Wrestling in beautiful Dover, Delaware. Also going on this weekend at the Delaware Auto Exchange, MCW is going to be in the house. They're going to have their Autumn Armageddon. That'll be at the Delaware Auto Exchange. Now, I'm torn because I like both of these two independent wrestling organizations. I'm a little torn over the fact that they're promoting events on the same night. This is Rampage territory, I do have to admit. And because my grandson, the Skull Crusher, is such a big fan of Big Mike, I think we're going to be at the Rampage event. And hopefully Big Mike's going to open a can of that, that whoop stuff all over Jay Cortez and Project Mayhem. And this past weekend, we went to, the Skull Crusher and I, to the MCW event, which was, we went to the 1CW event that was at the Cross Christian Center over in Seaford, Delaware. 1CW, their heavyweight champion, Mr. Grimm, weighing in at 27 body bags. He was taking on the Funky White Boy for the championship belt. And here's just a little call that I was doing to represent the Grunt to Groan Nation at the event.
It is worth mentioning that one of the most awesome tag teams on the independent circuit, PJ Parker and Mad Dog, Matt Stryker, the Bully Club, they had a very impressive victory over Hard to Handle. Boys from California, H2H. Funky White Boy with a reverse suplex on Mr. Grimm. Now in control of the match.
That's just a call right there. representing the Grunt to Groan Nation, the Funky White Boy, Mr. Grimm championship match. And Mr. Grimm did retain his 1CW heavyweight championship, even though Sean Hardy was in the corner of the Funky White Boy. This feud is going to continue, and Mr. Grimm is going to face some tough challenges defending that belt. They do have an event coming up on December 1st at the Cross Christian Center in Seaford, Delaware. It's called Redemption, and it is 1CW. Again, a local independent wrestling organization, and, that's what I dig. That's what I like. I like the independent wrestling scene as opposed to, the big leagues, the WWE and the stuff that you see on TV. So you have local independent wrestling organizations in your area. So I suggest that, take some time and go and support your local independent wrestling. I saw a post on one of the social media pages that said something along the lines like Beyonce will come out with a new brand of lipstick and it's $50 a tube, or Michael Jordan, who I really like, will come out with a new set of shoes that are $150, and we as Americans will go out and we'll buy from these big corporations all the time. We really do. We invest hundreds of millions of dollars in big organizations, but when it comes to the small businesses, we have a tendency to kind of neglect them. We have a tendency to kind of walk away from them. As an independent self-published author, I know that exact feeling. I know that folks will go out and they'll buy the books that are offered by, the likes of Jim Collins and these well-established authors. And they're part of a big publishing organization. I'm not. I'm just a small businessman. And my point here is not just to support me, and it's not a plea for you to support me. The plea is to go out and support your independent wrestling organization. Take the time to go out on a Saturday night. Look, I go to a 1CW match, and it costs me $15 to get in, and my grandson, the Skull Crusher, gets in for free. We get $1 hot dogs, $2 tacos, and 50-cent colas. You can't beat that. And my grandson likes it. The independent wrestlers are so good about hanging out with the fans that come, paying attention to the fans that come. You're not going to get that from the WWE or the TNA. You're just not going to get that from the big organizations. You're not going to get that kind of personal feeling, that personal love. So go out, support your local independent wrestling scene. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. It is a good time, and it allows you to escape your world for a while. Professional wrestling is designed to allow you to escape your world, the stresses and the tensions of the day. This is an opportunity for you to get away from that. And you'll start to have your favorites. Now, I know I'm not supposed to like the Bully Club. Mad Dog and PJ, I'm not supposed to like them, but they're my favorite tag team. And on that call from the 1CW show, you hear me say they defeated Hard to Handle, which is another really good independent tag team, as is the Riot Squad. So go out and support your independent professional wrestling scene. Now, I want to jump into the meat of the Grunt to Groan podcast this week. Oh, yeah, one other thing. We 2 weeks ago, we did the podcast on branding. And I want to thank everybody who's emailed me with their ideas or suggestions. We're going to do a follow-up show to that podcast. But one of the points that seems to have resonated with everyone, and I feel it's worth repeating, is that to be a good prospector, you always have to be prospecting. You can never let a day, a moment, or an opportunity go by because you weren't prospecting. Prospecting has to be in your DNA, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. This past week, I had a great meeting with a new potential client, a prospect. And that prospect came about because I play music. I've played music in the church. And the guitar player that I was playing with a couple weeks back told me about the company he works for. And they're a large company that can use my products and that could use my services. And because I'm always prospecting, we were able to connect this past week with the decision makers, and it looks like, keep your fingers crossed, keep me in your prayers, that we're going to be doing business maybe as shortly as next week. So you have to always be prospecting. It has to be a part of your DNA. Never let a day go by where you don't fill your pipeline with a new prospect or two. I just thought that was worth mentioning, given the fact that we were talking about prospecting just 2 podcasts ago. Also, if you have ideas on prospecting, do not hesitate to shoot me an email at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. So this is the second Monday of the month, and as promised, every second Monday of the month, we are going to have our Book of the Month Club. And again, I propose to the staff of Grunt to Groan that the book of the month should be the book that I wrote that you can buy, called Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. And for the second month in a row, I was voted down by the Grunt to Groan staff. Now, I could override their decision. Let's be honest. I could override the staff, Dave the Ray and his crew, Sonny Thunder and the Sons of Thunder, and I could easily override their decision. But I kind of did that a couple weeks ago, and everybody was a little unsettled with it, and, they started calling me names like dictator and things like that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the book that they suggested. And it's a great book. I had the opportunity to read this book cover to cover in 2016. The name of the book is Backlund, From All-American Boy to Professional Wrestling's World Champion. It is the story of wrestling's World Heavyweight Champion Bob Backlund, as written by Bob Backlund and Rob Miller. Now, you're probably thinking, as a sales professional, okay, the first book that he said, Inside the Magic Kingdom, that was really good, and I hope you read it. If you did read it, give me some feedback. That's a great book for any sales professional to read. But now we're moving into the autobiography of a professional wrestler. And why? Why? And I'll tell you, if you read this book, you will understand the answer to that question, why. Everything that is written in Backlund's book, yes, is about his life, about his rise as a high school wrestler to an NCAA wrestler to a professional wrestler. And the values and the integrity and the morals that he brought to all 3 levels of his game, including professional wrestling. At the time in professional wrestling, when he was the champion, there was steroids, there was strip clubs, there was drugs, there was alcohol. And Backlund chose not to partake in any of that. That all-American character that you saw on the screen week after week after week after week was the actual life that Bob Backlund lived. And when I interviewed professional wrestlers for the book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling, one of the things that they said over and over and over again is that your professional wrestling character is an extension of your real life character. Dusty Rhodes, hard-working man, but he came from a family of hard-working men. His father was a plumber. Hulk Hogan always wanted to be accepted and always wanted to be in the spotlight. And when he was younger, he picked up music to achieve that goal. And Backlund is no different. Backlund lives with a set of morals and an integrity that he brought into the professional wrestling ring. Now, the book is written and co-written by Rob Miller, who is an attorney. And this is one of the things that struck me about this book, was that he actually was identifying himself as a white-collar professional, as a professional wrestling fan. You know, as early as 9 years old, he was growing up in middle-class suburbia, and his hero was Bob Backlund, the heavyweight champion of the World Wrestling Federation. That was in 1980. When you fast forward to 2009, he writes, "I am now back in New Hampshire as a partner in a prominent old-line New England law firm, where I have once again discovered unlikely wrestling cohorts. Old wrestling fans who will gladly put down their pens to reminisce about seeing Bruno Sammartino, and Backlund, Bob Backlund, and Andre the Giant, and Pedro Morales at the old Boston Garden." This is an attorney, a white-collar professional, admitting that he loved professional wrestling. And the foreword of this book, the introduction of this book, where Rob Miller writes this, was the inspiration of why I wrote the book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. You know, if there are old professional wrestling fans, if there are people who grew up watching professional wrestlers who are now white-collar professionals, who are attorneys, lawyers, then I know there are sales professionals out there who grew up watching these same wrestling characters. And for you younger guys, you grew up watching Hulk Hogan, a Rowdy Roddy Piper, Paul Orndorff, the Road Warriors, Ric Flair, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this inspired me to write the book. So I know there are sales professionals out there who go, "What? Sales lessons learned from professional wrestling? Are you crazy?" Well, maybe. But I know you watch Don Morocco or Bob Orton or the Four Horsemen when you were younger. Now, this book is just riddled with every aspect of Bob Backlund's life. All the great things that he did as an amateur athlete and as a professional athlete. There's one part here that I'm going to read. It comes off page 37. It talks about a legend at NDSU, North Dakota State University, where Bob went to college. And this was written by his friend Bucky Maughan. And it says, during his senior year at North Dakota State University, Bob decided not to try to cut to 190 pounds because he was convinced he was going to get a tryout in the NFL following his being named an All-American. I could understand that. All-American football player. During his senior year, Backlund had become a legend in the NDSU athletic department, You see, on their way to football practice, the football coach had every player stop at this crude isometric bar that had been cemented into the ground and perform a series of isometric lifts. The thing was 2 4x4 posts with an iron bar crossing about 2 feet off the ground. Most of the players approached the bar, just grunted, got red in the face, and went on their way. Bob, who never faked a grunt, went up to the thing, grabbed a hold of it, and he pulled the entire apparatus right out of the ground. Needless to say, the team had found a new hero after that. That's the power and the strength, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, of Bob Backlund. And if you read this book, it will transfer into your sales game. Also, at the end of the book, Bob Backlund has written 18 principles of healthy living. And as a sales professional, I want you to take note of these. If I go too fast, go back and re-listen to this podcast to get them. 18 principles of healthy living that will transfer into your profession of sales and make you a better sales professional if you will just listen and apply these 18 principles. Number 1, in each and every interaction you have with people, treat them the way you want to be treated. As a sales professional, that is key. Number 2, find a way to get your kids involved in athletics from a young age. Now, how does that apply to us as sales professionals? Supporting our kids, taking them to games, teaching them sportsmanship and integrity. You see, by doing this and involving ourselves, it removes us from the game of sales and puts our perspective back on life, on family. Because as you know, the sales game can consume us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Number 3, eat to fuel your body, not for emotional support. Now, I found this interesting because as sales professionals, we're road warriors. We're out eating lunch and dinner and possibly breakfast in fast food places. And sometimes we don't eat the best, which means we're not healthy. I know in my own diet, when I go out on the road, I'm packing my lunch. Cheese and crackers and grapes and pears and things that are better for me. Eat to fuel your body, not for emotional support. Number 4, get enough sleep. You know what? At the end of the day, lay your head down on the pillow and know you did a great thing that day. Forget your troubles. Number 5, maintain a positive mental attitude. You know, that's tough for a sales professional. We live in a world of rejection. It is imperative for us to be successful that we maintain a positive mental attitude. Number 6, apply mental focus. You know, we are the epitome of ADHD. As sales professionals, we bounce from one thing to another. We start on email A and 2 other emails come on, and next thing you know, we forgot about email A. We're working on B, C, D, E, and F. Apply mental focus. Cultivate a healthy self-esteem. Number 7. We are in a world of rejection. Do not take it personally. Remember, you are a value. You are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls because nothing happens until something is sold. Number 8, resist peer pressure. The client may want you to lie in order to give you the sale. Don't. Resist the peer pressure of the salespeople who are unhappy and always complaining. Resist the peer pressure. to compromise yourself. Number 9, be respectful. Everywhere and always. Number 10, be reliable. If you are going to do something for the client and you commit to doing something for the client, then make sure you do it for the client. Number 11, be self-reliant. Do as much of the work that you can do. Number 12, save money every day. As sales professionals, we get big bonuses, and we have a tendency to buy things that maybe we don't need. In sales, you always hear, I work hard, I play hard. Well, it really should be, I work hard and I save hard. And I play. But I save before I play. Number 13, don't live above your means. Number 14, find something to do that you love doing and then keep doing it. If you love sales, keep selling. If you love it, you'll be successful at it. Number 15, make your work life fun. I love traveling from client to client, getting in the car, opening the sunroof, cranking up the tunes, and rolling down the road. I love being in front of the client. I love making presentations. I love overcoming objections. I love closing business. Number 16, if you are a parent, take the responsibility to raise your own children. As sales professionals, too many times we get so involved in our work that we rely on others to teach our children the life lessons. I was very fortunate not to get wrapped up in that trap, and I have a great son to prove that. Number 17, there is joy to be found in every day. As my good friend Phil Carazales says, you can choose to make every day a bad day, a good day, or a great day. Why waste the time not making it great? And point number 18 from Bob Backlund, from the book Backlund, From All-American Boy to Professional Wrestling's World Champion. Look forward, not backward. And as sales professionals, that's instrumental in us being successful. Again, the book of the month, this month, it was written by Bob Backlund and Rob Miller. It's called Backlund, From All-American Boy to Professional Wrestling's World Champion. You can pick this up in hard copy, soft copy. You can pick it up for your Kindle and your Nook. It's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, Walmart.com. You can go into most book resellers and pick this book up. One of the best books that you will read. And as a sales professional, you may not be a professional wrestling fan, but you will walk away from this book having great respect for professional wrestling. You will have great respect for its traditions, its history, and the lessons that we can learn as sales professionals from professional wrestling. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this podcast of Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. Again, I apologize for last week with the weather, the roof, and everything that happened here at the Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. And we are working on setting up alternate sites for things like this that might happen. If you want to get a hold of us, please write me at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. That's greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Benjamin Burrows. You can follow me on Twitter at Great American Thunder at Real Ben Burrows. It has been a pleasure. It has been an honor. And remember, You are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold. So quit listening to me. Get out there. Sell something.
I am one voice that stands alone. I am one choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots. Give it all I got. All I got is this microphone. I am my thoughts, my skill displayed. I fought my will. I will get saved.